Past 9:15, and we have a delegation for the Purple Hill area. Bradley, nice to see you.
Okay, grab a seat. So, Council, Mr. Mayor sent an email about 8 o'clock this morning with a new presentation, different from the one that was on the agenda. We've been able to get that loaded up. There's also a 5-minute video, so I propose that if Mr. Bradley's done with 5 minutes remaining after giving his presentation, the council may want to entertain watching the 5-minute video that he's also prepared and sent earlier this morning.
Okay. So, Bradley, just be mindful of our time limitations if we can. Thank you. I appreciate that.
There's your mic. So we're going to put your presentation on screen. You can advance it using the keyboard or mouse. It's a PDF, so probably just page down, page advance. Give Andrew a minute to get it on screen.
Wonderful. So I want to start by thanking you all for giving me some of your time. I would definitely will use it. I recognize it's precious, and I do appreciate all the work that you guys do. And certainly watching a lot of the meetings in the past have given me a lot of light into how much work and effort you put in every single meeting. They do run long. So I'm here predominantly because I am a citizen and resident of the Purple Hill community. I'm here with my wife and my son who's doing a project on civics. So, pardon me. My name is Bradley Mayer-Harman. I live at 22 Old Oak Lane in Mono, Purple Hill. Thank you for reminding me. So the primary reason I want to help my community and represent my community in pushing forward on seeing some progress at the Purple Hill Park is because I'm also a father, and one day, God willing, I'll be a grandfather, and I'd love to bring my kids to the park and see it progress over time as well. So obviously, in the current state of affairs for the Purple Hill Park, it's 3.87 acres, approximately just over 1% of the acreage is used in that individual park. The state of the sand is that the grass is growing into it. The state of the playground, one of the wheels, the mechanism on it is broken, and so there is a potential chance that kids could get their fingers caught in there, so there's a slight hazard there. But otherwise, the primary concern by most residents is that the sand is quite messy, and they'd like to see some type of improvement, repair, or replacement of that actual park itself. Obviously, seeing as the park hasn't been upgraded since 2002, we would like to see some progress. I've also included kind of comparative images and descriptions of what's available in some of the other parks across Mono. And obviously, we recognize that the town council has invested a lot of time and energy and money into making sure that all of our parks in Mono are quite nice. And we actually believe that our interests and our motivations are aligned in that regard, because we would like to see our park see some similar progress, and we appreciate the investment you've made in other parks. Purple Hill community priorities. Now, across a lot of consultation, this has been the consensus of the people. Now, of course, in any type of communications with the community, there's never going to be an absolute answer, but this is the best we could come up with across door knocking, petitions, surveys online, and qualitative and quantitative data accumulated by myself and some of my community members. So first, one of the things that came up the most was the modern multi-sports pad that can be utilized both in summer and winter. So that can be used for the existing work that we do as a group of parents who actually participate regularly in building the ice rink every year for the last 5 years. An awesome gentleman who lives across the street from me, Marcus, he has been spearheading this project, and unfortunately he couldn't be here with me today, but he sends his regards. Community pavilion, we do believe that there's an opportunity to have a pavilion there. There's both parents, also grandparents who would like to see something where they could have some cover while watching their kids in the playground. And finally, the playground repair or replacement. Benefits of a multi-sports pad are numerous, and certainly I don't need to be going through all of those with you because you guys recognize that these are important investments in communities, but it certainly is something that will go a long way in ensuring that our children and community members have access to a safe environment that's not on the road to play multiple sports and do several different types of activities. Additional amenities, these are other things that can come up, and again, that's probably part of the planning process. A long lifespan, we recognize that nothing's going to happen overnight, and more importantly, this is a long process. We don't expect everything to happen within a short period of time. We just hope to see a commencement of a project. Community support, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a variety of different information provided by different community members, and we've done door-to-door survey results. We have community online feedback, which goes into depth about, so we have over 94% or 76 of the 81 respondents on the community page who have advocated for some investment in the park. We do have a community video, which we'll try to get to and maintain under the 5-minute mark. So pardon me if I'm rushing through it. These are just some of the people who participated in our video. There was a lot of hesitant people who don't want to be on camera. So you'll have to forgive not having everyone who was involved, but certainly these are the brave people who were willing to stand in front of the camera. Recent Town of Mono park investments. So the only reason I bring this up is it's because I recognize how much investment and time has gone into ensuring that the rest of our community is vibrant and is used. And so we certainly would like to do that. I also included that in the package. I'm worried about your time, and I don't want to go through each individual item at this moment because I recognize I have a limited space. But certainly the main point here is that since 2002, we haven't had any major capital investments. I recognize there are regular maintenance involved in maintaining the park as it is. We would just like to see some change. Purple Hill Park revitalization costs. So obviously we don't have extensive data as it relates to all of the costs associated with some of the things that the community is asking for. But we do have a quote that we provided in 2021 when we asked for a similar request, which was the multi-sports pad. And that quote came to with cumulatively $99,921.38. And that was provided, I believe, in our first package. Reserves and possible grants. So we recognize there are possible grants that we can take advantage of. Granted, there are limitations as it relates to what type of grants we can apply for on an annual basis, but certainly if we plan for it, we can try to capture them. And so some of the grants that I've seen the town be able to accomplish in the past in conjunction with other organizations are the Trillium Grant and the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. We also recognize that Parks and Lieu is a fund that our community continues to contribute to as well as part of the town of Mono. And we would like to see, in addition to the Purple Hill Reserve Park Fund, we'd like to see some investment from the Parks and Lieu as well. And then conclusion, I really do look forward to hopefully working with you and my community in conjunction to ensure that we can continue to make Mono a fantastic place to live. And maybe one day I can, maybe not my son as much, but maybe one day my grandson and my daughter, we can go to the park when it's revitalized. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Go ahead, Fred, and then Elaine.
Bradley, thanks very much for that excellent presentation. You've certainly raised the importance of that issue on the radar screen for me, but I just want to give one, and I think you're absolutely right. We need to do something, and let's think about it, but I just want to give one cautionary comment. We're going to deal with the Public Works capital budget today. And last year when we dealt with it, we had to chop, over $1 million off what those guys over there need for trucks and roads and stuff. And this year, we're going to be into the same thing. So the thought that goes through my mind is, I just want you to know this. It's not that I'm against anything you've said, but what the wheels that are spinning in the back of my mind are, oh boy, where's the money going to come from? Because we have a tough budget year coming up. But anyway, thanks again for your presentation.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see your family here too. I very much appreciate the work that you've gone to bring this presentation forward. You just didn't say, oh, let's have, and come forward. I think that you've done a lot of work. And I think that the community has done the right thing by coming together to present in a very cohesive manner what they would like to see. Now, I do also want to talk about the budget. I know Kim will be coming forward with the recreation budget, and I'm hoping that you will be amenable to sharing your survey data so that the recreation director has that information if she doesn't already have it, and working together. So I'll look forward to seeing the recreation budget component, capital investment section. So we were doing a whole asset management planning around that, so it's possibly why your park is last on the list, but I'm sure that we can do something. But I thank you very, very much for bringing that forward. Very great.
Thank you. Ralph and then Melinda.
Thanks for coming here, and it's great to see the support of your community, and I love the fact you're interested in making it better. I have a question for Kim, and it's about a multi-sports pad, which I personally don't have any real knowledge about. How well do they work? I mean, Brad has mentioned 5, I think you mentioned 8 different things, including cycling and pickleball and tennis at one time. Your list is dynamic, which is fine. What actually, how useful are these pads for the various sports that have been outlined?
Councillor Mangtalo, as you may recall, the multipurpose pad for Purple Hill Park has been requested in previous years in the Recreation Department's capital budget. And the reason for that is because they are truly a multi-purpose amenity that we can put into our parks. We do have 2 other pads in various parks at Mono Center and at Medill Meadows. And those pads are used extensively for ball hockey, for basketball. We do put basketball courts in our multi-purpose pads. They're used in the winter for our skating rinks. And that's one of the predominant reasons that we love these multi-purpose pads, at least from the Recreation Department standpoint, is because it means that the surface is already there and it holds the water quite a bit longer than putting it up just on the grass surface, as Purple Hill residents have been doing for a number of years now. It also means the boards are already there for the rink, and they're not having to reinstall boards every year for their rink. Getting back to other amenities, which I really very much love about these pads, is for particularly in neighborhoods such as Purple Hill Park, where there are no sidewalks. It gives an opportunity for children to be able to learn to skateboard, to learn to bike ride, without having to do so on the road. And so when you're getting little 4- and 5-year-olds who are riding a bike for the first time, this is an absolutely opportune area for them to be able to be out. I can go on and on about the opportunities provided by this, like even something as simple as hopscotch, so they're not playing hopscotch on the road. The recreation opportunities provided by a multipurpose pad are certainly unending. However, I do recognize our challenges budget-wise, which of course always comes into play. I mean, it would be wonderful if we had an unending amount of funds during budget deliberations. Unfortunately, we don't, so that's where our priorities have to come into play, or at least council's priorities.
Thanks, Kim. And what about the 2 racket sports, pickleball and tennis? Is that appropriate for them? And also about construction, is a concrete the medium of choice?
From the other 2 pads, I'll talk first about the concrete versus the asphalt. From the other 2 pads and the research that I have done, it has been our findings that the asphalt pad is the better way to go, just because the surface is a little more flexible for the sports. So it's always been recommended to me to go asphalt as opposed to concrete for these pads. Obviously, we like that because asphalt is a little more economical than the concrete pads as well. As far as the surface itself for tennis and for pickleball, just as recently as this year when we were having the new pickleball courts built at Mono College Park, we looked at the use of our multi-purpose pads in our other 2 parks for an option of play for the pickleball club, so they had somewhere else to play pickleball. Unfortunately, the finding was that the asphalt surface just is not conducive for the playing of tennis or pickleball. I mean, if you want just a little pickup game where you bring a portable net and you want to hit something back and forth over the net, sure, it's great. But for those who are truly wanting to play a true game of pickleball or tennis, we've got to go to the surfaces that we're used to putting in Moto.
Melinda? And then,
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was terrific, and I don't know, I liked the one that you first sent in the agenda too. I thought that was with your notepad. That was awesome. One of the first things that I was involved in was the first request for the multi-purpose pad a couple of years ago. Or I don't know whether I was sitting in this chair or whether I was just watching the Zoom because I wanted to sit in this chair. But it's money. It's money. So it's on the list. And with respect to the playground equipment, it totally is on the list, because I know that there was also reference to how we've moved money around from one reserve to the other, which out of necessity. But it is safety of the children with respect to the playground equipment. It's definitely on the list, and I'm going to fight that that's not going to be removed because of the safety of the children. So, but I think there are lots of, again, reading through the package, I was like, why all this grants is one thing, but also just the other tiers of government supplying help for us is something that we need to pursue. So thanks for putting this on the top, though. Be rest assured, it was on the list already, and we'll get Purple Hill up to speed just like our other parks.
Bradley, I think you had something to add, and then I'm going to try and sum up for council.
Thanks again, and I appreciate all of your kind words. So I just wanted to speak to Ralph's comments about the pickleball and tennis court. I don't believe yes, there were in the survey, some people mentioned tennis or pickleball, but I don't believe it's the interests of the group necessarily as a majority to push for those issues, because we do recognize the town's already got like 8+ tennis courts and pickleball, and like 6 brand new pickleball courts, the new pickleball court club and stuff like that. So I think predominantly this pad is also going to save a lot of the community volunteers who participate in the ice rink every year. So it's going to serve a multi-seasonal purpose, and the hope was to have a concrete pad because from my understanding, it makes for a lot easier to facilitate the concrete and the ice rink, so to speak, as well as, but yeah, we didn't have necessarily any intentions to make it more extravagant in regards to having like that type of service. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Kim, briefly.
Sorry, I just very quickly wanted to say that in the past, sometimes what has happened is council has recognized the importance or the need of certain recreation amenities, and in principle has agreed in that. And what we have done is then left it open that if any grant opportunities become available, such if ICIP opens up again or the Ontario Trillium Foundation, that council encourages staff to move forward with an application for a project that otherwise would not be able to be funded.
And that has actually happened. I'd like to thank you and your family for coming today and your work on the presentation. It's very thorough. It's very timely in as much as we're now just starting to look at our budget. You correctly identify several sources of monies, primarily the reserve funds and the park dedication monies. Kim has addressed the issue of external grants, which has been a key component to much of what we've done in the past few years. And also the fact that we have been doing an ice surface there since, I think, the beginning of this century somewhere. And this would obviously make that whole process a lot easier. So I think Kim has heard you loud and clear. We have. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And we'll watch the video, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, could I have one question, please?
Yes, if you could tell us who you are and where your address is?
Yes, for sure. My name is Lisa Denning, and I live at 17 Ashwood Park. So I live right beside the park, and we love the park. We've been here for 3 years. Before I was here, I lived at another park on the west side of Orangeville for 15 years. So I truly love being by the park, and I have no concerns with fixing up the park, the sand or whatever is required. My only concern with putting in a pad and adding more gazebos and pavilions, a couple of things, but the main thing is the parking. Because with the pad, it's going to attract more kids. There's no sidewalks here. And the parking, there's really only 2 spots across from the park. So people are parking, further down the street. There's only 3 feet on some parts of the shoulder. So there's kids running in and out. And again, I'm very mindful because I live here, so I go very slow. But I just worry about the safety of all the kids and the adults and the parking. And sometimes people congregate on the road while they're getting their coffee and their kids and their dogs. So I'm concerned about the parking with the added activity with this sports pad.
Okay. Ms. Denning, that is going to be an obvious consideration when we decide ultimately what to do, and I don't think that's lost on the delegation today either.
Okay.
So
I just want to
thank you
make
for
sure, because-
reminding us of that, and it is an issue, and we acknowledge that it needs to be addressed in some fashion.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again. Our next delegation is from the Orangeville Fire Services, and I think we see you in the back of the room there, sir. If you could both come forward and